What's good, YouTube? Ben here. Welcome to the next video on the channel. In this one, I'm going to give you the next automated build on PlateUP. This is going to be for nut roast. Let's get into this. All right, so we're slowly coming up to the Christmas season, and a nut roast sounds pretty good. And nut roast in this is pretty simple. So let me grab the recipe up quickly for you guys to see, so you know exactly what we're doing. Recipe: so chop nuts and onions, mix and cook, and serve as portions. So it's a pretty simple recipe, although it has quite a few moving parts, but we'll get into that as we do. So we're going to start off with nuts and onions. So we need to make sure that we put nuts on the left, onions on the right for this specific automation. We'll get into why in a minute, but next, we need to go ahead and grab a couple of grabbers. Of course, for those who know how grabbers work, grabbers allow you to grab from one point to go along its conveyor and then pull to the direction you want. So in this instance, we're going to go here, grab from here and down, grab from here and down. Simple enough. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab some mixers. Now, I'm just going to use normal mixers. You could, I guess, use conveyor mixers, although I don't see the point. So we'll grab normal mixers. I'm going to go right about here. Let's pull these up by one layer. Well, there's a reason as to why I've put it here, which I'll explain at the end. Because it isn't that big a machine, which is quite nice. But if we go into practice mode quickly, you'll see that it'll go straight from the from their points into the mixers. Now, pay close attention. The onions cut faster than the nuts, which is important as to the position. So we'll leave practice mode. So the chopping part is now fully automated, which is great. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab a couple more grabbers. So grabber number one, grabber number two. So of course, we're going to grab from these. Now, you don't actually need to use anything like smart grabbers, because these won't grab until the cut is complete, so you don't have to worry about it. So once the cut's complete, we're going to go ahead and grab a counter, which we're going to pop here, and then we're going to go ahead and grab a combiner. So we need to combine the two, and a combiner is the best way to do it. So we're going to grab that combiner, grab it, pop it here, and then make sure that the arrows are pointing towards this counter. If the arrows are pointing elsewhere, it will not combine. Whereas if they're pointing at this counter, it will combine directly onto it. So if we go into practice mode. So the onions will sit on the combiner up until the point they get combined on, and then boom, now they're combined. Now, for example, if I was to turn the combiner into a different direction, it won't work. So if I put it there, it's not going to work, because it'll try and combine back onto the grabber, which it can't do. So we'll just quickly wait for that. There we go. They're on there. And there we go. It didn't combine, which is great, because now we know that the combine process will work absolutely fine. Just make sure the arrows are pointed at the counter. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and get another grabber. And this grabber, we're just going to use to pull from the counter. Now, the cool thing is, because the onions cut faster than the nuts, it'll go down to the combiner faster than the nuts. We'll get onto this counter, meaning that we don't need a smart grabber, because as soon as the nuts hit this counter, as they're being grabbed, this will combine. So, as you'll see if we go into practice mode, because this process is faster than this process, it will auto-combine before it gets grabbed. There we go. And it will also do it every time, so you don't have to worry about it. If the nuts were faster, you could do one of two things. Either turn this into a smart grabber to only grab once it's been combined, which is more expensive, or just swap the order of these two. So, like, for example, if the nuts cut faster, all you would do is just swap them. But it doesn't, so onions go here, nuts go here. Then we're going to want to go ahead and cook, so we need a hob. I would highly recommend a safety hob for this, because safety hobs can never burn. Albeit it's very slow to cook, and nut roast is quite a slow cook. But this will automate the process of cooking said nut roast. So you don't actually have to worry about cooking it because it will auto cook. Now, a nut roast in this game looks very interesting. This takes about a good 30 seconds to do the full cook. So it's a very slow cook, but it's kind of worth it to do it with a safety hob because at least you know there's going to be no mess. If you wanted to cook it faster, you could use like a danger hob, but you'd run the risk of causing fires, especially if stuff burns. So keep that in mind. Safety hobs are generally used for full automation. So that's now cooked to the nut roast. But it's not ready to serve because you can't serve it in this form. If we go ahead and activate that, it's in slices. So what we need to do is we need to get one more grabber. So we grab from here to here. Oh no, sorry, we get another grabber, but first we're going to need a portioner. So we'll just pop that, I guess, here. We'll do just fine. So with the portioner, you want to make sure the arrows are pointing in the direction you want to portion it to. So for example, the portioner is above, so we're going to portion above. So arrows need to be here. If the arrows, it was on this side, the arrows would need to point this way so that it portions from here. So the arrows point towards this, and then we'll portion from the area it's looking at. We could do it either way. We'll just do it this way. So as we'll see, and the grabber then is going to pull from the portioner. So if we go into practice mode another time, you will see what I'm getting at. So once again, it's going to go through the process of making said nut roast. It's going to combine the onion with the nuts. And then it's going to auto cook on the slow cooker, or at least the safety hob. I'm just going to call it a slow cooker from now on because it makes more sense. Like to call it a slow cooker. So we'll call it a slow cooker. So that's going to go through its thing quickly. And then as it runs through the whole process, boom, it's then going to portion off the nut roast, which is exactly what we need. This is what gets served to customers. Of course, it needs to go on a plate, but there is one final thing that we can do. So because of how slow this cooks, especially in later days, it's going to be harder to maintain a queue, right? Best thing to do here is add a frozen prep station. And the beautiful thing about frozen prep stations, so not only once they're filled, will they keep between days. So you'll start, if it's full at the end of a day, the start of the next day, it'll be full again. But you can technically amend the system and add as many as you want. Like, for example, if we added 3 frozen prep stations, all we would need is the frozen prep stations and then the grabbers to grab from between them. Let's say here we'll add a grabber and here we'll add a grabber. So now we don't just have 4 we can save. We have 4, 8, 12 that we could save between days. So we'll go ahead and go into practice mode. So this pretty much, and it's perpetual as well. So you can literally add as many as you want. So you can do as much nut roast as you pretty much want, because not only will it save between days, but you'll also have extras in the days as well that end up on these grabbers. Now, of course, the starting process is a bit slow, so I'd highly recommend, of course, if you want to use a better hob, use a better hob, but you'll have to take out trash, so be warned of that, but you can do it. But once this cooks, you'll see that it'll portion out automatically, and then it will go ahead and just add into the grabbers, and then into the frozen prep stations, and it will culminate and end here. There we go. So now, of course, we have enough to start serving, and then we can keep going like that. And as you go through days, more and more will get filled. So that's how you go through Nut Roast. If you want to see more like this on YouTube, you can support the channel completely for free just by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Of course, you can support the channel further by becoming a channel member from as little as 99 pence per month. And don't forget, I do live stream. When I go live here on YouTube and over on Twitch. My streams here on YouTube are in the shorts form feeds, more for mobile. If you want to catch the exact same streams at the exact same time in full 1080p, feel free to join me on Twitch. The link is in the description below.